It's about ease of doing business, and you just don't know where to start. And once you start, you're stuck in a bureaucratic mess, and you can't just focus on developing or selling your product anymore.
Even if you manage to surpass all that, and let's say now you're ready for export. Like we were facing an issue when we were looking into exports. We didn't have a guidebook for that either. Gradually, after like personal effort, we managed to secure how to or understand how to manage one consignment of export if you want to start. So I think these are very basic issues that if resolved, a lot of people in the industry can add value and get a lot of forex for the country.
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of All Things Money, and today we're going to focus on the value-added dairy segment. We have with us today Affan, who is essentially the CEO of Vittles Cream Cheese, or with the Vittles Company, and they just produce some great cream cheese and other value-added dairy products. So Affan, how are you, and tell us more about Vittles?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And just to give you a little briefing, it's not only related to cheese, it's generic. We create generic products. I'll give you a brief about the company. It's a family-owned business that started from scratch and is a COVID baby. So it mainly focuses on import substituted products. Like if you look into the market, mostly people are developing products that are already available and are for mass markets. No one is concentrating on products that are being imported. And there's a very big chunk of forex that is used in certain products. So we try to pick out all the premium products that are being imported, try to replicate them according to international standards, and then supply them into the market. So cream cheese was, the dairy cream cheese was our initial first product, which we rolled out. And now we're coming up with some more products, and there's a new range that's out now. It's mostly related to dessert sauces.
So tell us, one thing that I've learned over the years as an investment banker essentially, dairy, we're one of the largest dairy producers in the country, in the world, and we barely produce any value-added dairy output. Why is that?
Well, actually, we're the third highest dairy producing country, and we roughly approximately produce 47 million tons of liters of milk every year. Yes, that's a very big issue because we do not focus on value-added products. Milk is something similar to, I would say, crude oil. The more you refine it, the more new products you'll get out of it. If milk is the least expensive, then comes butter, then comes cheese, then comes yogurt. It's a huge range, and people do not focus on that. Maybe because the mentality in Pakistan is slightly, no one wants to invest too much time in R&D. R&D takes a lot of time. If you want to develop products, it has to be shelf stable, it has to give the ideal taste, it has to be up to the mark. But when you get into R&D of these products, it can take 1 month and it can till like maybe 2 years. People do not have time to get into that, and that's very sad. But gradually people are shifting, and like we were the initial first cream cheese producers in Pakistan, and now there are like 3 or 4 more local competitors that we have, which I believe is also healthy, because whenever there's a monopoly, the product quality always diminishes. And when you have more players in the market, you always keep on evolving to give out something better.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Coming to my point of value-added products, can you explain what kind of value-added products are available and why haven't been able to really crack that market? And I would like to know that from a purely export perspective. So if you're the third largest dairy producing country in the world, obviously cream cheese won't really have a very mass market demand here, but can have a lot of export demand. Exactly. 2 questions here. What are the products, and why haven't we been able to, let's say, develop an export market for them?
Okay, so if you ask me the question related to cheese, mostly the producers are into either cheddar or mozzarella. But there's a very wide variety of different types of cheese that people don't get into, because the local demand is just related to cheddar and mozzarella. Like we went into cream cheese because we saw a gap. It was the next big thing. But there's brie, there's blue cheese, there's feta, there's a lot of product. The reason why people are not getting into it, A, is because the supply chain issues, the raw materials that you need. Like, we try to focus that any product that we develop, we try to ensure that we make it out of 90% local produce.
So let's talk about the supply chain here. What's wrong with the supply chain? The milk is being produced. And I understand what's happening. I just want the audience to know the milk is being produced. What really is a problem that the same milk cannot be converted into cheese that can be exported? What's the supply chain constraint there?
Okay, so there are many constraints. Number one is the raw materials. So when you're making cheese or when you're making butter and or making cream, you need cultures, you need bacterias. They aren't available in Pakistan. They're mostly being imported. Other than that, the type of machinery that you require in order to get out the perfect product with a good shelf life, it's either German, or now people are getting into Turkish products or Chinese products. So either way, they have to be imported. Sadly, locally, there aren't many companies that are making these machines. People are getting into it now, and gradually it will evolve. But I believe raw materials would be the first difficult bit in procuring.
So you can import raw material, right? I mean, that's not a problem. Whenever you're producing something, you always import, let's say 40-50% of that. That's fairly standard across various industries.
I'm just going to cut you a little. See, for preservatives, that's something that you need to import. Emulsifiers, mostly being imported. Other than that, as I mentioned, culture and bacteria. See, when a small company wants to get into a new product, it gets stuck on the MOQs. For example, I want to start a dairy business tomorrow, let's say, but I'm a small business. Minimum order quantity. So if I want to create a product, I'll go to these chemical suppliers, and then let's say if I give them a list that I need all these, okay, fine, we can get them for you, we can indent them for you, but minimum 500 kgs or like 1 container or 2 container. See, that's where the story stops. So that's a very big issue for creating new products. That's why everyone gets into products that are already being made.
Because the market for those emulsifiers or those preservatives,
it's already coming in.
Okay.
So the people are getting it in mass quantities, and then the smaller sub-distributors will supply them.
Okay.
But if you want to create something new, you have to have certain MOQ.
So what you're saying is
easier for bigger companies.
So what you're saying is the scale doesn't exist to do this, and that is largely due to the fragmented nature of the dairy industry.
You can say that.
What about the quality of milk? Does that have a bearing on that, or the quality of the cow, or the overall diseases, and so on and so forth? Like, coming to the source, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so when you talk about exports, there's a very big issue that any product that is being made from milk is not possible to export to either the EU or the US. And that's mainly because how our industry is working. For example, we use oxytocin in cows, and we use other chemicals, we use different types of foders. So all those combined do not allow us or enable us to export to these markets that are extremely huge. But we can supply to Middle East. That's not an issue.
So what I'm understanding here is the core problem remains quality of the raw material that you produce locally. You may be the third largest producer of milk, but that's not necessarily the milk the world wants.
I believe you need certifications as well. If you have a certified supply chain, you have FDA approved products, it would still enable you to export. But those things require time, they require effort. People are not getting into it. For example, New Zealand, the dairy exports is $10 billion. European Union, $54 billion. I mean, we have it. We just need to have the right policies, right support by the government, and we can also get it.
So what's the support that you require from the government here? Let's say I'm the government, I say, what do you want to fund?
Okay, so if I'm if I'm getting into the business as a layman, I do not know, there's no guidebook. I don't know where to go, what to do. I face these issues myself. Like when we started, we didn't know how to register a company. We didn't know how to do the input, output taxes, how GST works, what certifications are required. Um, if you want to do everything in a white manner, it's still difficult because then the labor laws come in, then EOBI comes in, and then lots of things. You need an easy way of doing business, like a one-stop solution, because when you get into all that, when will you work? You need time to focus on R&D, creating new products, and a platform.
It's about ease of doing business, and you just don't know where to start. And once you start, you're stuck in a bureaucratic mess, and can't just focus on developing or selling your product anymore.
Exactly. And even if you manage to surpass all that, and let's say now you're ready for export, like we were facing an issue when we were looking into exports. We didn't have a guidebook for that either. Gradually, after personal efforts, we managed to secure how to or understand how to manage one consignment of export if you want to start. So I think these are very basic issues that, if resolved, a lot of people in the industry can add value and get a lot of forex for the country.
So you had a great product. I would say it's a world-class product. I'm going to be pretty open about it. And selling this product anywhere in the world, you can sell it at a premium because it competes with the different products out there equally. Have you tried exporting? Or what? Let's just run through the whole process. How was the process?
Okay, so since the Vittles Company, the name itself actually means food supplies. Since cream cheese was our first product, everyone thinks it's a cheese manufacturing company. So I just want to clarify that we are getting into different types of products, especially that are being imported. So, for example, recently we developed a few sauces and purees. No one is doing that, and they're syrup basically. So, for example, if our sauces it's a strawberry sauce or a mango sauce, it has real fruit in it. If it's chocolate or butterscotch, it has real chocolate in it, and real caramel in it. Recently, we're working on our first export order for next month. And as you mentioned, the issue was I didn't know how to go about it. I had to refer to companies that were already in the business, get into talks with their export managers, the owners. They had to guide me how to go about it.
So what's the process like? If someone is sitting there watching this, how would they
Okay, so first you need to be a registered company. You have to have an STRN number. You have to have an NTN number. That's basic. Yeah. Then you need some certifications. Obviously, if, every sector has different requirements. For example, if you're in food, you need Send Food Authority. You need PCSIR. You need just COAs of every product, certificate of analysis that tells you the nutritional values and everything. And then what we do is we make sure, although it's not a requirement, there are companies that are globally recognized. We get FFHC certificates for our products. So basically, they tell you if the product is fit for human consumption. That we believe is extremely necessary, although it's not a requirement. And then these are the basic requirements. Then you have halal certification. If your product is not halal certified, you cannot put it in the market. See, all these things we had to learn. These are the basic requirements for if you're manufacturing something in Pakistan. And then you have ISO 9000, 22000, safety standards, and then HACCP. If you have them, that's a plus, and it'll make life easier for you if you're supplying to white labels, let's say, or if you want to supply to industrial to the industry that are already in exports. So these are the basics that you need for if you're manufacturing locally. And when you're getting into exports, every country has different requirements. For example, we are now looking at UAE. So the requirements that their municipality needs is you need to be halal certified. You have to have all the COAs. You need phytosanitary certificates, and then you need the health certificate. That's the basic requirement. Then you have labeling issues. If you're exporting to UAE, you need Arabic labeling. That's a must. You cannot export without that. Then your packaging should also be approved. I think these are the basic requirements. Then you have the export documents, how you're going to link your bank account with your PSW, and then the freight forwards will take it from there. So it's a whole process. It has like 3-4.
But once you get started on it, then it should get easier, right?
Yes, of course. Basically, if the bigger you get, the easier it becomes. The initial stages are the main struggle.
So the Vittles has reached a point where it can competitively export.
Yes, we have. And we're quite hopeful because after looking at the products, the competitor products, we are much premium in quality and in pricing as well.
So are we doing this white labeling or under your own brand at retail level?
We're doing this under our own brand. And other than that, we are also getting into products that are huge requirements in UAE. So, for example, I'm sure you've had Nutella. That's a hazelnut based.
It's just sugar.
It's just sugar, but it does have hazelnut. Then you have like peanut butter and stuff. So we've got demands for a nut-based product, which is not hazelnut or it's more related to pistachio. So we're working on that just primarily for export because it's some expensive products. I don't think Pakistani market has the ability to use such high expensive products. But we're also looking at those customized solutions.
So how many products do you have under the Vittles umbrella?
Well, right now we have dairy cream cheese. We have certain variants, for example, garlic and herb. Then we have the non-dairy liquid cheese, which we do not supply in the retail sector. We supply commercially to white labels. Other than that, we recently launched our dessert sauces, which are equivalent to foreign brands. Better and similar to if you had Girardelli or Lindt, Monin, Torani, Dixie. These are the brands that we compare ourselves with. And other than that, we have a lot of products in the pipeline. For example, I'm sure you've had Kiri cheese products being developed, will be launched soon. Then there are pastes based for industrial consumption. So they will be treated as raw materials, not for the retail market. So there's a wide range of products that we're always working on and we're evolving.
So what's your most popular product? Let's say what's the real revenue generator for you?
Well, right now it's going to be cream cheese because it was the initial one. And then again, obviously, when you launch a new product, it takes time because it takes time for everyone to know. It's a natural pace. We market, but we do not market as much purely because we were focused on natural marketing, I believe. And we're growing at a very good pace. So I believe cream cheese would be it. And mainly because it's also used highly in the B2B sector.
Where is cream cheese used in the B2B segment?
So any cheesecake you're having, mostly like any tiramisu you're having, desserts, sandwiches, and then the liquid cream cheese is mostly used in pizzas.
Okay. So my point being, is there a big enough market for cheese in the country? I mean, a few years back, there was a lot of drama around cheese being imported. When you looked at the numbers, barely $20 million worth of cheese. $20 million in large scheme of things is barely not a drop in the bucket. So is there a big enough market for cheese in the country? Because if you want to, let's say, we just want to really scale up, become, let's say, a $500 million company, what would you need to do? Because you'll clearly have to move outside.
Of course. Okay, so the figures that you mentioned are probably the figures that are from the customs. Yeah. So these are all the white figures. A lot of the food sector is based on the whole undocumented sector, which is probably 3 or 4 times. So if you're saying 20 million, that's probably 100 million right there. And yes, of course, there is a huge market. People are learning. People are, for example, there used to be a tea culture in Pakistan. Now you can see coffee shops springing up. Where are they coming from? So the culture also changes, right? You used to have those cream cakes. Now people are getting cheesecakes. So gradually people are also learning, evolving. The market is growing at its own natural pace. So there is a huge market, and it's not just cream cheese, right? You have mozzarella, you have all those other products as well. It's a huge market altogether. Even if you focus on Pakistan, the issue might be the distribution. See, when you talk about cheese, it's it's a chilled product. You have a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of logistics companies that will distribute room temperature ambient products or frozen, because obviously the whole meat sector or the whole fruits and perishable items go into frozen. There are very few chilled storage distributors that you might find. That is also one big reason for that holds us from growing at a very high base. You need more distributors that deal in chilled items.
Okay, so what you're saying here is there is a distribution constraint in terms of who can distribute chilled items.
Yes. Mostly people have either frozen or ambient temperature.
So how do you tackle this issue?
Okay, so mostly what big companies do is they give distributors their products, right? With us, we have kept all the distribution of cream cheese with ourselves. Number one, because there are not many distributors who deal in chilled products. And then if they do not handle your product properly, it can go bad. It's our brand name. We cannot risk something like that due to someone else's negligence, right? So we've kept all that distribution in our with ourselves, and gradually we're expanding. We're getting warehouses in different provinces and increasing our network.
So what are your key markets for cream cheese in Pakistan?
Well, by province-wise or
across the country?
Okay, so we distribute in Islamabad, we distribute in Lahore, and then we have sub-distributors that buy from us and then distribute it into other smaller cities. And the Islamabad sector covers NWFP and all the northern regions as well.
So how is the demand in those areas?
If you compare them to Karachi, if Karachi is 1, then Lahore is 3, and Islamabad would be 0.5.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So Lahore, you sell more cream cheese in Lahore than in Karachi? Oh, okay, because I would believe a lot of that cream cheese actually goes outside Lahore as well. In the peripheries, you got Faisalabad, Sialkot,
Faisalabad, all those cities are like growing rapidly.
So there's a lot of demand for your product there as well.
But as far as these other products are concerned, we are dealing with distributors and we are supplying them.
So where do you see yourself growing? In which area do you see yourself growing over the next, let's say, 5 years? What I see here is you had a really blockbuster product in terms of cream cheese. And that basically cemented Vittles as a major player in this, a major local player in this segment.
Exactly.
If I would say a major player at this point, because imported product is pretty bad at this point. A major player in this segment. Then you're also moving into B2B supply as well. So where do you see yourself growing in the next 5 years?
Okay, so we're focused on, there are lots of avenues. So there's the retail sector. People get into products that are only retail specific, right? Then there are products that are only B2B specific. Then there are products that are only industrial solutions. We do provide customized solutions for big businesses as well, because we are an R&D based company. And then after all that, when you cover all these 3 angles, the whole world is your oyster. So obviously, eventually you will get into exports throughout.
So in terms of marketing and distribution, I would say retail is a completely different beast. Industrial is different, B2B is different, and the 3 completely different directions. How do you manage this?
Okay, so if you talk about industry or B2B, we are a company that is very customer centric. So we are problem solvers. Say, we want to see what your need is, we want to solve it for you. So mostly what happens is if we have a meeting and there's someone who's getting stuck in a product, we'll be like, okay, we'll try to solve that for you. We do the R&D, we do everything. And if they like the product, they can buy from us. If they don't like the product, no worries. Because that just helps us learn even more for new products. And that's how we take every new product. That's our approach.
Can you give us an example of such a product that was developed through an iterative process?
There are quite a few. We had a requirement for, as I said, the liquid cream cheese was due to supply constraints of a very big white label. They approached us, they asked us to develop it for them. We did that and we started supplying to them. I don't want to take names because obviously, but it's a white label, it's a huge brand. Other than that, there's a big donut brand, it's also an international chain. They used to get their products from Germany. Similar issue due to Forex and import issues, we developed Boston cream for them. So there are lots of companies that are always there and they want us to do something for them.
So interestingly, I mean, you're supplying key products, B2B industrial products, for a lot of big brands. Is there an opportunity to, let's say, use the same products regionally as well and open up an export market for those?
Of course. And I think the main advantage is if you're supplying to white label, see, these are global brands. If you get into their panels, they can easily be the gateway for export just for business solutions in other countries. And that's a very good approach to export.
So what I figured out here is that your key competence is essentially your focus on R&D.
Yes.
And product differentiation. So you're not really focusing on cost, but you're focusing more on the product. And your product needs to be better than everyone else for you to really succeed.
We can.
How do you get there? How do you get into that mindset of really just focusing on product differentiation?
See, product quality has to be above standards. It has to be great. Next comes in the pricing. See, retail is not, I mean, you won't have an issue buying something slightly expensive from the store. But when you're a business, every penny counts. So we've tried to focus on it being the most competitive with the best, to give the best pricing and the most premium quality that we can. So that's our main aim, how we penetrate. And that's one aspect of the business. If you look at our branding, which is more retail centric, that has also helped us to penetrate a lot amongst the in the retail sector.
So I think that's great. It just shows that you've got the vision to really create a strong brand, and that has led to, mashallah, the success of the company.
Yeah.
So, some final thoughts. You said you're going to be basically exporting both in the retail and the industrial front. Do you see yourself expanding away or diversifying away from dairy-based products?
Yes, of course. As I mentioned, the name itself, it means food supplies in old cowboy English, right? That's how that we never wanted to constrain ourselves to just cheese. So as we came out with sauces, there's a whole range of products in the pipeline, and obviously we.
So what allows you to focus so much on R&D? Is it the human capital? Is it just a few founders who are basically obsessing about it? What differentiates you from, let's say, other 100 companies out there?
I think it's the ambition. Number one. Everyone has a different approach to things. Some people want to get into products that are only for mass market. Some want to replicate products that are already being supplied in the mass markets. We always get into difficult products. Like this company is owned by us three brothers, right? So we're very heavily involved in the management as well as in the R&D. And we love creating new things.
Is anyone of your food scientist?
None of us are. But luckily, kind of we are because we have such understanding now, and we have food technologists on our panels. Obviously, you cannot do it without them, without their help. So they're technologies related to the dairy sector, the technology related to, for example, you want to create sauces or jams. So they are available. So we mostly consult them, and then we have a few that are not based in the country. We also consult with them. But we have our own lab, we have our own processes, we have our own team that does the R&D, and we have a whole process, we have a whole procedure where the product is made, everything is noted down, and then we look at its shelf life, its taste, its color. There are lots of aspects that you have to look into.
So when can we see Vittles being a success story for exports in Pakistan?
Hopefully it's going to start next month, and let's see how that rolled over.
Okay, so how do you go from here? Just one final part. How do you go from here to, let's say, $1 billion company based out of Pakistan? Because you've got a very strong product. Right. Got a strong product, you've got the right attitude, you've got the right vision. How do you get there?
I believe ambition and working at it every day. Just waking up and just being at it every day.
Just making good food.
Of course. If your product is good,
people like it.
And the price is good, there's no reason for you not to succeed. And I mean, if you look at all the other big brands that are working globally, I mean, we're on the same lines.
All right. Thank you, Affan. It was a wonderful conversation. And I just hope we get to taste more of your food in the years to come, and millions of people across the world actually try tasting that as well. Thank you for Adam. Thank you for watching, everyone. This is it for All Things Money for this week. Next week, maybe we'll pick another industry.